If you watched my previous video, I was talking about my story, how everything started, how I became a 3D artist and how I decided to change my career. In this video, I want to speak about my progress in 3D, and my 3D modeling journey started in 2019. At that time I was 37 years old and I knew nothing about 3D modeling, and the only software that I knew at that time was Microsoft Word, because I used to do paperwork in my previous jobs mainly. I was pretty good in it, but that wasn't much helpful, of course. I even didn't know any Photoshop or any stuff. At that time I already did some small courses. I bought a Udemy course for $5 or $10 about drawing basics with pencil. Learned some stuff about shading, some very primitive things about shading and perspective, some basics really. I had also a bit of experience in traditional sculpting. I mean, it wasn't like experience, I was just sculpting after work when I was working in my previous jobs for a couple of years, and it wasn't consistent. I was just doing it because I liked the process. So in the end of 2019 I decided to become a 3D modeler, and I had no idea how to do it, so I simply googled how to learn 3D modeling and found some big courses which were pretty expensive, and it was from one of the leading schools in CG art. It was international, and I applied, and it costed about $3,000 for the basic course. It was pretty expensive for me, but I decided to go, and my first course took 6 months. And I remember my first feeling when we were learning Maya, like it was scary. Like the first feeling when I saw the interface, like what the hell is going on here, so many buttons, and the mentor was showing like changing the interface and customizing everything so it would be comfortable for you to work in future. But I was really scared to do that because I was scared of losing a button that I will need, and then that I will not be able to find it anymore. So my first work was an axe. We did it in 1 week, I think, and it was very, very simple. We were just learning some simple stuff like extrude and bevel and something like that. After that, we did a lunar ship in the course, which was more complex, and I did it pretty good, I think, and I did my first render. So here it is. Spent on this maybe 2 weeks. The next assignment was a flying RoboCop. This one was a pretty fun concept, and I really liked doing it, maybe because it's a character, and I didn't know at that time in which direction I want to go, but right now I know that I want only do characters. So this project was very fun to do, and I did my not first but more complex renders with it, but still, as you see, it's not looking good. But we posed it, and this character has some life, if you can see, like some dents on the head, and like the antenna from the radio is bent and it's weird, and like he went through from some battles. So yeah, this was really interesting project to do. The next one was a fit girl. This was really interesting and this was a full body project, and it came out very good for me, and I didn't even expect. This was one of the best works comparing to my mates, I mean classmates. And we did it not by sculpting. It was a simple box modeling technique when you start from the cube and extrude the parts like hands and the legs, and adding some edge loops, adding some polygons, stretching the head out. Like very weird technique for me, but I think this is the old method of doing characters, and we did it like that. And the hairs were like plastic. Also, I think we did it from the cubes or something like that. I don't even remember. It was 2020, about May. At the same time, while I was learning 3D modeling in the course, I decided to upgrade my painting skills, and I decided to make a challenge for myself, like drawing every day a character. And I am a fan of mixed martial arts and stuff like UFC and boxing, and I was drawing different fighters every day for 100 days in a row without any excuses. And I had really hard times at that time also. Like in my private life, my father was ill, but still I was doing it every day, and it really improved my skills in drawing. And without any learning of anatomy, I was simply copying, and I think that gave me some solid foundations, maybe at least basics for what I have now for sculpting characters. I even created a separate Instagram channel for that and was sharing my daily sketches. Of course, it had no attention from the viewers, almost like very not much subscribers, but I did it for myself. And after the challenge was finished, the story of the channel was also complete and abandoned. I abandoned it. Also, while on course, I was doing some side projects like this car. It's very cube-like. I think I did it without even a concept, without looking at anything. That was my one of the first experiences of using Substance Painter for texturing. So yeah, it is what it is. I also did it in the gas station with some low poly environment. It was pretty fun doing that. I can't say that I learned a lot, but it was simply fun, and it was really low poly and almost production ready. I don't know. It was usable for games or something like that. So the final project in the course was the island where, so you can see it on the screen. It was floating island with, I don't know, like the mammoth skull and some story behind it. So yeah, it was okay, it was interesting to do, but I only did it because that was an assignment. At that time I already, I think, knew that I want to go into characters. Then I finished the course, and I was thinking what's next. Like, I was not feeling that I'm ready to work. I didn't have solid portfolio, like no ideas what to do. And at that time, the school where I learned, they had advanced 3D modeling diploma course, but it was really expensive, like $9,000 American dollars. And I had 2 cars at that time, and I talked to my wife, and she supported me again. Like, she's a crazy woman, supports all my crazy ideas. And I bought a course for $9,000 and started learning again. It was a hard decision, but after all, it was right, because after completing that course, I was offered a job right away in the school where I was learning. Since I was one of the best students, they took me as a technical assistant. I was assisting to the mentors and also helping students in their 3D modeling learning process, with helping them to solve some technical issues in Maya, in ZBrush, and softwares like that. But that's not the point of this video. I will keep showing my progress. So in the advanced course, the first project was really interesting. It was a female character project, but I didn't like much the concept art, so I decided to make my own. I decided to make a samurai jack. It was pretty complex, and I decided to make a head looking like Conor McGregor, but for the texturing the head, I used my own photos of my face, and it was pretty fun. So you can see how it looks. It was sculpted in ZBrush. All the armors were modeled in Maya and textured in Substance Painter, and the clothes was done in Marvelous Designer. So it was very complex, and it took about 3 months, I think, and still you can see the poor quality of rendering. At the same time, I was still practicing my drawings, the characters, and at that time I already started exploring CG painting, and I downloaded a free software which was analog to Photoshop. Its name is Krita, and you basically can do almost everything same in Krita, but it's free, like Blender. And I was painting there, and that was my first experience in painting in Krita. So you can see some works here from that period. It was in the period of 2020 and 2021. After the character, there was a dragon. It was one of the most difficult projects because of all those scales and a lot of sculpting work, and then the retopology was a nightmare. It was very, very difficult. Softwares were lagging, and in my group we were 4 people. I think nobody finished it. I think I finished it only after I finished the course, but I finished, and it's now still in my portfolio. Not the best renders, so it could be better, and the shading could be better, especially if to break up that shiny skin with some roughness textures. Another project in the course was this marine helmet, and it was the easiest in the course and took me about 3 weeks, and it came out really nice. I still like the textures, also I didn't know much about them at that time, but it came out nice. And the final project in that huge course, which lasted almost 1 year, and the final project was the environment, sci-fi environment. It wasn't very much hard, it was pretty straightforward. I didn't like doing environment, I knew it at that time. for sure, but I did it because, and I completed it because I had to, because the course is expensive, and you know, how can you buy it and not complete it? And I of course learned a lot from that things. At the same time, some students, like almost most of them, were not able to complete, and I was thinking like, what the hell, they paid so much money and even don't complete. I didn't understand that at that time. Next was my first serious work I did for my portfolio. I was a huge fan of the Mario character because I played that game a lot when I was a kid, and I found this very nice concept by Andrew Domachowski, and I decided to try to model it. It was really scary to start because I wasn't sure like I will be able to do it. But normally when I feel scariness in my inside of me, I try to go right in it because because that what makes me to really develop, and I started doing it. And it was a lot of procrastination during the process. It was I sculpted it from the scratch, from the sphere, like, and a lot of elements of the clothes and all that, weapons. And I even did the realistic hairs in the end in Maya, in XGen. While doing it, I took some small courses about XGen, like separately. It was about $20 or something like that, pre-recorded. I mean, you just follow. And yeah, and I even rigged it. I bought another small course about rigging in Maya, and I rigged it, and I got some rigging basics, which I don't remember right now because I didn't rig anything after that, and it came out pretty well, so you can see the result here. At the same time, I continued drawing the characters, and I was having a lot of joyful moments in that process. Also, in between, I was doing some characters and sculpting them. A lot of abandoned projects that I was doing and was not able to finish it because of complexity, or I simply lost interest in the middle. And in 2022, my Maya license was expired. I didn't want to download a software from a torrent, and I decided to leave Maya and switch to Blender. And I bought a course from Flip Normals about switching to Blender from Maya or any other software. I really liked it, I can say, and it wasn't expensive, about $20, and I switched to Blender very successfully. I tried to do donuts, you know, it was like, I didn't like that. Like, it's, of course it's free, it's in YouTube, but I didn't like when I was doing donuts, I was feeling so bored. Like, no, I didn't do it. I couldn't even finish it. Next up, I started building my portfolio. In the mean, I did some very simple things like this pea shooter from the popular game, from the popular mobile game. Also in 2022 I started actively sculpting in Blender, and you can see I did this Grogu completely in Blender, and it took very little time for me. and I shaded it in Blender and rendered, and it came out pretty nice, so I decided to add it in my portfolio. At that time I had a goal to find a job, so I needed badly to make a solid portfolio, and I was doing different characters in Blender, some of them in ZBrush. And at some point I decided to make this stylized girl. It was by amazing 2D artist Raichio. I like his work a lot. Like, they're really beautiful, and yeah, they are sexy and very attractive. So also I'm not a big anime like fan, because I'm a little bit older. I like these concepts anyway and try to do it. After that one I tried to do another one, this girl, and those two girls were one of the most popular on my ArtStation, and some people still consider that those are the best in my portfolio, but at the same time I spent very little time on them. That's ridiculous, like a couple of days maybe, quickly sculpted and did the renders, but they are beautiful, yes. I still like them. Although I still had some massive anatomy gaps in my knowledge, I still right now have them, I don't deny it, but at that time it was more than 1 year ago, and yeah, you can imagine. The next one was again anime girl. It was a random artwork I found on the web, and I still don't know who did it. It wasn't very successful on ArtStation, and even some people, some artists whom I was consulting, told me that it's not looking very good. I still don't understand what is completely. I don't understand what they didn't like. I like it, like, I don't know. And it was a full pipeline, starting from sculpting to retopology to texturing and rendering, and even I did simple rig using some automatic rigging software, and then sculpting out some weird deformations by hand, but I removed it from my portfolio. The next one I did is this Zangief for my portfolio, and it came out pretty nice. I just quickly sculpted it out in ZBrush and then retopologized in Blender, textured in Substance Painter, and rendered in Marmoset toolbag. Next I did this barbarian girl. I simply sculpted it in ZBrush and rendered in Marmoset toolbag. Of course, before rendering I decimated it, because otherwise it would be very, very heavy and not possible to render. The last ones you have probably seen. I did this plain head for practice, and I decided to upload it anyway on ArtStation, and you can even get it for free if you want, and try to redo this kind of model, because this kind of plain heads are very good for practicing sculpting heads. It gives you the understanding of basic shapes of the head anatomy, and if you do it from time to time, you can really improve your head's sculpting, and I really recommend doing that from time to time. I still do it. And this one was the last artwork that I added to my portfolio. I did it from the plain head from the previous one that you see, and I even showed the process on my YouTube channel, how to make it with all the explanations. And I sculpted it in Blender first, and then I wanted to go even more into details, like add some small pores and wrinkles. and that's why I completed it in ZBrush, then decimated the model and came back to Blender and render it. This model is also available in my store if you want to get it with the rendering scene, with the setup. If you want, you can get it. I just took a symbolic price for $2 if you want. And you're probably noticing that my rendering skills has improved, and a lot of personal things were happening in those years of my 3D modeling progress, and of course it wasn't easy sometimes, but I still keep going, and I believe that the most correct way for me, because this is for now the main thing where I can put my love more, where I can keep my attention longer, like I can sculpt almost every day. It's very interesting to me to explore anatomy, and I want really to realize myself in this thing. And also I want to open more to you, to talk more about my experience related to 3D modeling. It's a really huge part of my life, and I will be sharing it on my YouTube channel. And even more, I started streaming lately this month on YouTube, and you can see how I sculpt stuff in Blender live. And if you simply go to my live tab, live translations tab on my YouTube channel, you can see the records where I did the different characters. And if you're interested in the workflow of sculpting in Blender, you can see how I was doing it live with no speed up. So this is everything I wanted to say you today, and I hope for some of you maybe this explanation of my 3D modeling progress was interesting. And what else I can say? Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching me. Your support is motivating me a lot. And I wish you to do what you love and develop in the area where you really have the true interest, which comes from your inner being. So good luck to everyone, and I will see you in the next videos and live translations. Bye bye.